Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast that asks, who watches the Night Watch? I'm Chris Daly, and today I'd like to welcome Greg Moquin to the show. Greg, how's it going, man?
Oh, said my last name correct, so that's cool.
Hey, yes. I'm usually pretty good at that, except for that time I interviewed Rico Fajardo. He's a voiceover actor who does a lot of anime voices, and I was so nervous I totally screwed up his last name. So, yeah. So yeah, that's the only time I have a hard time with some names. Anthony, who's doing that Super Guy comic right now, his last name was a little bit tricky, but we got through that one too. All right, man. So like we were saying before, thank you for being on the show. We've been friends for a little while online. This is the first time we're kind of meeting face to face, and we've tried to get this to work out for a little while, but I'm glad we finally got it to work out now.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have you here. Um, for those who are familiar with the show, I like to start things off with an icebreaker question. So today's icebreaker question is, if you had to sleep on a beach anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Um, hmm. This Mirror Lake, like there's a beach there.
Okay.
So I used to go there like basically every year of my life for the most
Nice.
part. So I'm used to it.
That's awesome. For me, I think it's going to be really kind of a basic question, basic answer, but my wife and I have recently got into the show White Lotus, and I don't know if you're familiar, but season one takes place in Hawaii, and
Oh,
one of the characters actually he's like the little brother, and the older sister makes him sleep on the beach, and it looked pretty nice. So I think that's what I would pick. Pretty basic answer, but it looked nice.
yeah. I never watched that show, but like I keep scrolling past it.
You know, I've seen it, and I was never interested in the show whatsoever. And my wife was like, "Oh, this show looks kind of interesting," and I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." And it's interesting because every season, yeah, is set in a different location, but every season is set in a White Lotus hotel.
That's awesome.
There's a little bit of crossover with some of the characters, some of the storylines kind of tie in a little bit, but every season is for the most part a fresh batch of characters. And stories like that kind of grab me and pull me in. So when I found out that, the main character is really just the location, it's not really any of the characters in the show, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that's intriguing to me. So I'm in. And we watch see it's I want to say it's a short watch, but not really, because every episode is like close to an hour long. But the seasons are really short. So like season one only had 6 episodes. So it was just, a couple days. Season two had like seven, and then season three, which we're not quite to yet, has 8 episodes. And season one was really good. Season two is taking a little bit longer to get into, but I've heard season three is really good, so I'm excited. Yeah, season two takes place in Italy and season three takes place in Thailand. So it's kind of cool that it just mixes everything up like that. But the constant is every location is a White Lotus hotel. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so let's talk about what you like to do when you're not making comics. What are some of the your hobbies, your interests? What are some of the things you're into?
Uh, Um, I watch movies and TV basically. So, Office, Parks and Rec.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw the background. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I can
man.
watch
Not a lot of
it.
people recognize that.
Really? No. Not even an NBC logo. I didn't even need that. All I saw was the
Yeah,
breakfast.
a lot of
And
people don't
another,
notice that either. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Um, I have to catch up on Daredevil, but I am
Me too.
watching that one, Born Again. And when I'm not doing that, hang out with girlfriend, um, some music, stuff like that.
Nice.
Cook
What's your
if
favorite
I feel
genre of
like it.
music?
Yeah.
What's
What?
your what bands do you like to listen to?
A Day to Remember,
Nice.
um,
That's a good
Dance
one.
Gavin Dance. I could just read the bands off my arm.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That's
Ice
awesome.
Nine Kills is
Nice.
like one of my favorite bands. I have like
Good one.
technically three tattoos on my arm for that.
Nice.
Blink-182, stuff like that.
Kind of a little all over the spectrum. That's cool.
Yeah,
I had no idea your whole arm was tattooed, man. That's rad.
yeah, yeah. And then I got this one.
That's super rad. Very
Yep,
cool.
yep.
Yeah, it's funny how many people don't notice my NBC logo. And yeah, I like to tell people that like Ron Swanson, I'm a fan of dark-haired women and breakfast food. But because my wife has dark hair and breakfast food's like the best food.
Yes, it is.
Office and Parks and Rec are super big in my house. We haven't gone through them in a while, but when my kids were a little bit younger, we would drill through those pretty regularly.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
and Community. That's a good show.
Community we started, but we didn't get through all the way yet, which is one I've still kind of wanted, but my wife was having a hard time because she just hates Britta so very much.
She's really annoying.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's like, I
like
can't
the
with Britta.
actress or just like her character?
I think just the character. I don't think she has any
She's
strong feelings against the actress, but the character is pretty rough to deal with.
she's whiny. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know like that in wait, is that the same girl? I think that's the same girl. In Barry, yeah, the show Barry with Bill Hader.
Mm. Yeah. I've heard of it. I've never seen
Oh
it.
no, that's not the same girl. No, I don't know why. But anyway, yeah.
Cool, man. Well, let's take a trip in the Wayback Machine because I want to know now, you have your own podcast, you have all these different comics, you have your comic book company. I want to go and find out what it was that originally got you interested in becoming a writer in the first place.
Uh, seventh grade, I had to do an English project. It was a narrative project, and it was only supposed to be 15 pages in a composition notebook. And I wrote 83 or 4. So basically,
Oh,
I filled up the
wow.
whole notebook.
Nice.
I wasn't even trying to go for the extra credit because I'm not like a A student or anything.
Yeah.
I just kept writing, and I wasn't even really into, well, at that point, I wasn't really into horror or anything, which is really funny, but that's what I wrote. And
Nice.
I didn't know what a serial killer was in middle school, but that's what I wrote.
That's awesome, man.
So it was there's a mall that's like not that far from where I live right now, and it's kind of like a shitty mall, and me and a couple of friends like from my class, like people kept asking me like, "Oh, can you add me to your story?" And I was like, "I can only add so many people."
Yeah.
The mall fills up. So a couple of us like we go see a movie and then we get locked into the mall, and then there's a security guard there. And at the time, I didn't call him a serial killer because I didn't know the term, but he is because I rewrote it later on. Uh, he is like a wanted serial killer, but like nobody knows that it's him. He's just like been doing stuff, and then he tries to like kill the kids while they're like in the mall while they're trying to like just like make it through the night without dying. So
That's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah.
Very cool. So let's kind of transition that now into what got you interested in making comics.
So I didn't read comics when I was a kid. I just played video games like Teenage
Mhm.
Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. Super
Ah,
Nintendo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And watched the 90s movies. I don't really like the third one that much, but um, but yeah, so I got into comics by like 2014. So the story I say is not the story that my co-founder Dylan is like, don't say that because it sounds dumb. Well,
Man,
one day I got bored, like really bored. I didn't have a job
yeah.
or something at the time, and I just started writing a story because I was like, oh yeah, I remember I liked writing. So I picked my laptop up and I started writing. Um, and it was what our Seer Chronicles flagship title was at a certain point. So I just started writing, and it was a firefighter goes into like a sketchy research lab, and then I just kept on writing and writing and writing. I didn't go to sleep for a while because I just kept writing that.
I've been there.
And then over 1,200 pages later, I was like, oh, there's something here. And
Wow.
then the story that Dylan wants me to say for that is I got the courage to ask for help instead of saying I was bored. So I made a Craigslist ad, um, because I didn't know. I could have just Googled it, but I didn't. I asked for a graphic designer, which is not what I needed. And he is a graphic designer and a marketer and a million other things. But he found my ad on Craigslist. He's the only one I answered. And then he emailed me, and then we started texting. We texted for like a year, and then back and forth. I was living in Florida around that time for like 3 months. Hated it. Came back to New York, and then met him, and then I started talking about the whole entire story, like universe that I got going on. We broke that 1,200 page story into other series. Like Mittens isn't even part of that. It wasn't even a thought at the time.
Wow.
And yeah, then we just broke it apart. What I wrote originally was like kind of like a novel, and then I broke it down into like a storyboard more than like an actual script. He helped me with that.
Nice.
And yeah, so now we have like a bunch of comics.
Very cool. So that's kind of the birth of SeerNova.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And you have a podcast as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. 2019, I think. We started our podcast because he's like, we should do a podcast. And I was like, okay. We started doing that. I don't talk on it as much as him, unless if it's like, a topic I like talking about.
Yeah.
But which is funny because I'm like a host on a podcast. And so it's about like marketing, just advice for other creators. We're trying to gear it towards more like just fans of comics too, like not just always for like because our original format for our Kickstarter for our podcast was literally like Kickstarter. People would just be like, "Oh, I don't have a campaign right now, so I can't come on." I was like, "That's not. You don't need to have a campaign."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, you just come on and talk about stuff. And some people do. Some people are just like, no, no, let's have a Kickstarter or whatever. I was like, whatever. We changed our format after like going on a hiatus like last year or something like that for a
Okay.
while because like I don't know, I was busy with other things. And so it's a little bit better now because I was getting bored by my own podcast. Like I was sitting there, it was the same 10 questions over and over and over again. And I'm like, we need to change this or we're like done here with this. And then Dylan's like, okay. So then we changed it to how it is now. And I like it better now. I'm not bored because he goes on like tangents of like, he like was like just making fun of Disney or Star Wars for like an hour. And I'm like, dude, there's other things.
Right.
But like somehow the guest would like tangent towards that, and then he would like just go off, and then I'm like, all right, and I'm just sitting here like, cool,
Fair enough. Yeah, you got to change things up every once in a while, or else
yeah,
you get kind of bored. And I can understand that because I have a lot of people that want to come on my show, but they only want to come if they've got something to promote. But you don't always have to talk about stuff you need to promote. If you want to just come on and shoot the shit, that's cool too. Because again, that kind of gets where you get in that rut where all you're doing is talking about Kickstarters, where
yeah,
maybe you want to talk about the newest Ice Nine album that comes out, or
yeah,
just
yeah,
something different. You want a reason, you want an excuse to talk about something, and you don't have anybody to talk about it with. So you bring them on your show and just have a reason to talk about stuff. So that's a really cool idea.
yeah. That's why like some people have like shows now that like Edward Davis he has a show, and it's like yeah, people promote their campaign, but that's at the end of the show, and like it's more of like he has three topics, and then he picks like what's your favorite sound? Like the one I was on like 2 weeks ago or something was like, what's your favorite like movie soundtrack or whatever, like mixtape soundtrack? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And I had to like look it up. And I'm like, oh, I'm just overthinking this. Because like Guardians of the Galaxy, because like all the songs that are in there, it's pretty cool.
It's a good one. Very
Yeah.
cool. All right, man. So we want to talk about Knightwatch, your newest comic that's out on Kickstarter right now. The Kickstarter goes until May 2nd. So everybody make sure you don't wait. Go and check it out. We'll make sure we share the link on social media. We'll get the word passed around to get the word out and let everybody know. Um, but for those who don't know about Knightwatch, Why don't we take a little bit to kind of talk about what it is?
It's a MMA fighter that turns to a vigilante. He's avenging his best friend's death. So a little lore behind it. So Kenny is an orphan, was an orphan. So up until he was a teenager, like he never had like a family. So I don't know why that's funny, but so what a loser. So he was in this orphanage, and then so was his like best friend, like slash like it's his brother because he's like so close with him.
Yeah,
That kid kind of falls into a bad crowd when they're like 18-ish. Um, and he gets killed. He thinks it's the Russian mafia, which is a different name now because we just did a bunch of world building stuff. So like our Russians are called something else now because our Earth is a different Earth. It's not Earth. So there's that. But yeah, so he hangs up the gloves and just goes full on vigilante.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So where did you come up with the idea? Where did you pull inspiration from, certain things in the real world, or how did you come up with it?
So I like the movie Warrior a lot.
Okay.
And I don't know, just I like Rocky. I've actually watched a lot of like Rocky, like the movies, and for like so many times. But while I was writing that, I was watching that too. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I did that, and I always wanted a like superhero type character of me in my story at some point. So I did that. So I'm like, I'm gonna be selfish here, you go. So um, I did that, and then like. I've never done MMA. I've only like fought with my brother when we were kids, like just put each other in chokeholds, but that was
Yep.
it.
Been there.
Um, yeah, but like just playing around.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool if I did this. And then Dylan's like, wouldn't it be cool if you could like cosplay, but like first you would have to like stop eating fast food? I was like, shut up.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I wrote that. The first plot arc is 3 issues. There is a twist to it because on the Kickstarter it says like, yeah, the Russian mafia did it. Did they? So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So, you said the first arc is 3 issues. Do you have plans to go further than that, eventually down the line?
Yeah, a lot. For like all of our series, we got ink, scales, all that stuff. Like there's so many that are like planned out in my head, but I only wrote up to 3 so far.
Nice. But you ideally have long-term plans for Nightwatch.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about the possibility of Nightwatch crossing over and battling Danny J. Quick's Ace Blade? Because they have a pretty similar background.
They do.
I think that'd be awesome.
I was gonna joke and be like, "What's the inspiration?" I'm like, just Danny J. Quick.
Danny J. Quick is an inspiration. Shout
Yeah,
out to Danny J. Quick. That
yeah.
man is amazing.
It's, it's funny because he had a TikTok. It was like someone was like, "So this is basically Impound comics," and he's just like, "We came out first, but okay."
Yeah, man, that dude.
I'm like, just
He
enjoy
doesn't he
the
doesn't let
story.
anybody bother him. It's so great.
Yeah. So like if I'm surprised no one has said anything like that about mine yet. But like I'm aware, I'm like, yes, there's Ace Blade, but I'm like Night Watch doesn't look like a foot ninja. So
I mean, really, every idea that's ever been come up with has already been come up with.
exactly.
Everyone has to do their own version of it, and
Yeah.
they're similar. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. Mine's like so if you like Daredevil, Punisher, or Batman Year One, you'll like Night Watch.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So you've got the Kickstarter going right now. Let's talk a little bit about the Kickstarter and what we've got to offer there.
We have I don't remember how many tiers we have, but we have a few. So there's a $6 tier, which is the PDF tier. That's just the PDF of the first issue. The comic is all done, by the way. This is, I think,
Nice.
the first Kickstarter that I've done so far, like 10 or 9 of them. That the comic is all done. The only thing that I would have to do is when we fund, which has to happen soon because there's like 16 days left.
You
Uh,
got tons of time still. You're good.
yeah. Um, just got to print the keychain, the stickers, and stuff like that. but and the comic obviously, but the comic is all done. Like Fish Lee is the artist, so he
I was gonna bring that up.
yeah.
That's awesome that your book was done by Fish because his style is so incredible.
Yeah, it's like amazing. And then like he's so fast. Like I knew he was fast, but then he had COVID while he was working on my book last year, and I'm like going through a bunch of shit. And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm going slow." And I'm like, "You're not going slow." So fast. Not to like knock like other artists that I've
Right.
had for other
Yeah.
projects, but like he is fast.
Yeah.
Uh, and just like insane. And I'm like, if I had like the same amount of money that I had to pay for the other ones, I would just keep paying.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So how did that come together? Were you hooked up with Fish to have him do the art for this book?
Um, I asked him, but I feel like I just saw a bunch of his TikToks, and I already knew his art was good, and I'm like, this would fit for Knightwatch. So I was like, I also wanted it to be like out soon. I'm like, oh well, he's fast, and then I'm like, so how much is this? And then he said the price, and he has like a different tier system depending on like what you want to do. And I was like, ah, well, I have extra money because I renovated the upstairs of my house, so okay. So I did that, and yeah, he said yes. So, and
That's
then
awesome.
I'm like, you're on this for like ever now. I hope you know that. There's a leash in my basement, and I'm just gonna put you on that leash.
That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so you got the $6 digital tier on your Kickstarter. What kind of
Yep.
other things you have?
Uh, $15, which is the physical and digital. There's the $35 one, which is Justice in the Shadows. I don't know how I remember that. Uh that's $35. That's the the both copies, physical digital of the comic. I think that's the one that has a sticker. It's like the championship belt.
Nice.
Um, and then we have a keychain. Maybe the keychain's not on that one. And there's an art print. The art print is like one of my favorite panels in the comic. It's like him like kneeing like one of the mob dudes like in the face, and there's like blood. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then there's now going to be another art print because I just made a second update. I usually do like a way more updates, but I've been busy. Um, so yeah. So there's gonna be some other update. Literally, Fish just messaged me like, "What if we do this?" But I didn't like see what the message said. But I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Nice.
$50 tier. There's a T-shirt, which is a Fighters Haven T-shirt, which is our like MMA organization. Dylan goes like full like I love world building. He goes like full blown when he like goes all out on that. So he he did Jeet Kune Do, which is a type of martial arts.
Yeah.
So
The Bruce Lee one, right?
he looked up all the martial arts that are like in our world. He converted them and changed it. He just showed me this yesterday, all the names and stuff, and we have our own martial arts in our world now.
That's awesome.
And uh he took the three like senseis, whatever they're called. I can't think of what they are. Like his instructors when he did it, and he moved their names around a bit. And now they're like the owners of our Fighters Haven like organization.
That's
But when
cool.
he did that, I kind of like now want to make like a wrestling organization.
Yes, do it.
And I'm like, yo, I kind of want to do
Do
that.
it.
Make it, I just have to figure out like who would own it and stuff. But
That's
and then
rad.
like I don't know. I don't know if I would have like a vigilante that would be like, but that would be kind of cool.
Ah, that
But
would be so sick.
yeah, because it's like a I do watch that from time to time. I was actually watching like the Raw like highlights before I like came on here.
Oh,
So
dude, I'm a huge pro wrestling fan.
I know that. So that's why I
Almost,
mentioned
oh yeah,
it.
almost every single day I've got a CM Punk shirt on right now. So
Yep. Yep.
almost every single day I've got wrestling shirts on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big fan. So yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
That
Uh,
would be cool. Um, so yeah, so the kick like again, like we said, the Kickstarter goes till May 2nd. Make sure you check it out, tell all your friends, pass the word around, let's get this book funded because this book sounds awesome. And Fish Lee did the art, and Fish Lee is amazing. So that if for no other reason, you should get some more Fish Lee art in your life because dude is incredible.
Also, there is a $100 tier, which is, I don't think it's limited. I usually limit one of the tiers, but I didn't, I don't think at all. That one, for the $100, you get a commission drawn by him. So
Nice.
there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's worth it for sure.
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, after this Kickstarter wraps up, what do you have coming up next after that you can talk about?
I'm hoping July, maybe a little later, is going to be the trade for ink 1 through 3.
Nice.
We still have to figure out what the cover is going to be. Adam Fields, who's the artist for that, he had a couple ideas, but Dylan's like, we have to focus on this right now. And I'm like, okay, but we also have to focus on that. It has to get like done at some point. Um, I was gonna have him remake the first issue because the first issue was like, I don't know if you read the first one or any of it, but the first issue of Ink is like 8 pages. So
Wow.
yeah, it's very short. But a lot of people like it. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's like super short. But yeah, so I was gonna have him remake it. I just his art has improved since 2018 or whenever he drew it. And it's not even that bad in the first one. It's just like it has improved. Like if you look at issue 2 and issue 1, there's definitely an improvement. And then I wrote a couple more pages in the script, so it's not 8 pages, and there's like a little more backstory. It's just like a breakfast scene. It's breakfast. But there's the character that's in the second and third issue, or yeah, I think he's in the third issue too. Yeah, it's one of his best friends, but he's not in the first issue because he didn't exist in the first issue. I
Hmm.
didn't like think all that through yet, so yeah, there's a few extra pages, but I'm not doing that when we do the trade because he doesn't have the time. So maybe at
Sure.
some point we'll do that. So yeah, so that'll be like July or maybe in the fall. But we were gonna do a way more this year, and then um, we had a campaign in February, and we canceled that. So that changed a few things.
It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to start over to get going, and that's okay. It happens. So one thing I want to talk a little bit about your world building, and I think that's really cool when people take the time to, really invest and build up the stuff inside the world, like the details, like, the fighting gym you talked about. Um, how do you guys incorporate world building into your writing? Do you have like somewhere where you're keeping track of all of this stuff? And um, yeah, how do you keep track of all that stuff? Because it's got to be hard to remember.
Yeah, my head is air and like world building stuff.
Okay.
And we have this app that Dylan found like a couple years ago called Notion,
Okay.
and it's very awesome. Like it organizes a lot of stuff, and then they keep updating it. So there's like even AI with it and stuff. But it's just there's so much stuff in there. So we have all the characters, and there's still more characters that are in my head and all that other stuff that I still have to add. But there's that. There's worlds. In our Google Drive, we have a few things that should probably go in there too. But there's like a map that I did a very bad drawing of in Google Drawings, and it's like our Earth, so it's different continents. And he built that out with the help of like ChatGPT. He like helped like figure out what the languages would be, since we don't have like it's not Earth, so we have Russians, but they're not Russian, so they're called Banian instead.
Okay.
So yeah, so we did all that crazy stuff like last week or whatever, but there's so much to do. Um, and then there's another um, indie creator that was on our website because we used to have older website that had other indie creators on there as like a platform.
Yeah.
Luke dude from Canada had like a story that he was gonna draw, and then he didn't end up doing it. But it was I'm like, can I use your story idea since you're not gonna use it? He's like, yeah, cool. So he has something that has to do with like this green energy in a dragon. So that's involved with our scales thing now. And it helped connect so many other things because I'm like, I don't
Nice.
know how this connects anything. So yeah, like Notion helps like a ton. And then we have a Google Doc for a few other things like um he goes so deep into it. Like I like that too, but like, jeez, like
Yeah.
he can go on a tangent. So there's like tattoo descriptions for ink, and like each tattoo does a power, which that's what I wanted. But like then he
Yeah.
just went a step further. I'm like, okay,
That's super awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, me and my former writing partner, we had a lot of stuff in Google Docs too. Google Docs, Google Sheets to kind of keep all of it squared away. So yeah, it's cool that they have apps out now because this was years ago before a lot of those big writing apps were really doing anything like that. So that's cool that they've got something a little bit better than, Google Drive. Even though Google Drive is amazing, and I think more people should use Google Drive, but yeah, it's a good place to keep track of stuff.
a lot.
That's cool. So, I guess I should ask you because I don't want to assume, but do all of your guys' stories, do they all kind of tie together in the same universe?
Yep. Um, even and people don't know that yet, unless if like you watch this podcast or like a few others that I've been on. Mittens actually does connect at some point.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so Mittens is just a friendly cat comic, and then it takes a hard turn now. But now it's still like it's still gonna have the same vibe anytime Mittens is around, but
Yeah,
it's he does enter that like our SN17 universe. Like it's well, he's already in it, but he's in a different galaxy technically.
gotcha.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. That's a really cool way to tell stories.
yeah,
Very, very cool.
Kevin Feige.
Very cool. All right, man. So before I let you go, I want to have you take a minute to share some advice with the listeners, just some creative advice that you'd want to share.
Um,
And it could really be about anything.
Yeah. So some people, I wish I didn't do a bunch of different stories at once. So, there's a comic book company called Covenant Comics,
Hmm.
and they were kind of smart in what they did. Not kind of, they were. So they kind of like showed up on social media. They like teased a few things, and then they like disappeared. I wouldn't have disappeared off of social media. Um, but they didn't like publish any comics yet. Then
Wow.
they did one series and they did like Crossbones, like 1 to 3 or whatever. And then they did Ether, and then there's Burlap and stuff like that. Like they slowly did it. I wish I did that instead of like here's Ink and then here's Seer Chronicles and then here's this other one. Because then, money would have not been so tight.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, because it costs a lot. So
I'm sure. Cool,
yeah.
man. Now let's give you a chance to promote yourself. Let's people know. Let people know where they can keep up with you on the internet. Good Lord.
SeerNovaComics.com. Um, we have a brand new website from last year when Dylan destroyed the other one, and wish we recorded that. We like deleted the old one, and
Oh, wow.
it was just so bad because he created it, but it was like we couldn't keep up with it because like there were so many like other people's PDFs on there, and then some of them were corrupted or something. I don't know because there's so much spam and other things on there. So we deleted that. We have a brand new website, SeerNovaComics.com. You can buy our comics, well, almost all of them on our web store, and they ship them to you. Uh, every social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, just SeerNova Comics. Just look for that, and you'll find us.
Very cool. Now I want to take a minute to thank Polygon Horizon. Their song Pizza Force is the song we use for the show. It's a fantastic song. Go check them out on Bandcamp. Show them some love. You can find Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and shoot us an email at fueledbyweird@gmail.com if you want to get on the show, talk about other places you want to sleep on the beach, stuff like that. Just shoot the shit with me. You can find Fueled by Weird on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. And Fueled by Weird, along with the Nerdy Manroom show with Hassel and Monster, Hassel's Review, and Big Rob's House of Entertainment, and No Chinese Food. We make up the Stay Weird Network. It's a brand new podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet. Check us out at Stay Weird Network on YouTube and Instagram, and shoot us an email at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. And I'd also like to thank my sponsor, The Zone Collectibles in Tifton, Georgia, your one-stop shop for comics, collectibles, and so much more. Now, if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, life's too short to be normal, so stay weird. Greg, thanks so much for showing up today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.